When Miss Letby was arrested for the second time, I was tasked with planning and coordinating the search of her home address in Chester. My name is Rob Woods. I'm a Detective Inspector on Operation Hummingbird. My primary and sole role now is the lead for disclosure in the investigation. The amount of material we found at her home address was, I think, a massive surprise to us when she was first arrested, but it gave us a really good steer on the second occasion as to what sort of things we were looking for. So as an example, something that's proved very useful to the inquiry has been Miss Letby's diaries. There appeared to be, and it became clear later, that it was almost a code of coloured asterisks and various other things put in a diary that marked significant events in our investigation. So when we went to search the address for the second occasion, that was something that we knew we were looking for because we didn't have the complete chronology. There were a couple of years missing, so that was a very clear item. We also knew that she was a copious writer of notes now we thought that perhaps having been arrested she might stop doing that. It turned out when we searched that second address she had continued to write her thoughts and all sorts of processes about the investigation, about the events that she was being investigated for. So yeah, we seized quite a large amount of material on that second search. I coordinated, planned and executed, if you like, the third and final arrest of Miss Letby at her home address in Hereford. Again, it's something that I remember very clearly. There was a lot of planning that went into it because the worst thing would have been to turn up in Hereford and her not be there, or us not be able to arrest her. So there was a massive amount of planning. But ultimately, the whole of the team here, all of the interview team, all of the search teams, all of the investigative team were all waiting for me to make that call and say, yes, she's under arrest and she's on her way back. So I don't think I slept a lot the night before. I remember getting up very early, 3 o'clock in the morning. We met at Blacon and we drove down. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours, even at that time in the morning. It gave me a lot of time to ruminate and think about what could go wrong. I do remember having a great relief when we knocked on the door. Mr. Letby opened the door and it was all very low key, obviously. Despite the severity of this investigation, it's not a suspect that posed a great deal of risk to us as police officers, so it was a very low key arrest, a gentle knock on the door. We went in, we explained why we were there. They knew because they'd been through it twice before. Miss Letby's mum was very distressed, but Miss Letby herself, she complied and was very subdued. Did I know that we were going to be getting charges? No, I didn't. Did I know that we were going to be asking for charging advice? Yes, I did. And again, I think that just added a little bit of extra weight to, we must get this right. So everything must be done absolutely by the book. The procedure must be perfect because this will be scrutinised at court and it will be scrutinised by the defence. And I didn't want to let the team down because, as I say, if we'd messed up that initial bit of arresting, all the other planning and all the other bits of the team that were waiting would have been for nothing if we'd not secured her. So yeah, I do remember the door closing on the BMW that she was going to be driven back up to Chester in, and her pulling away and me phoning Detective Inspector Hughes, as he was at the time, and saying, yep, job done, she's in the car, she's on the way. That was definitely a moment of, can relax a little bit. And I remember the phone ringing. Nicola Evans sat opposite me. She picked up the phone, and you could tell from the conversation she was having that the CPS were telling her that the email was on her way to her with the charging advice. CPS didn't say which way that charging advice had gone. And I remember her putting the phone down, looking at Paul, saying, it's here. There was then maybe a minute, I don't know, of silence while she read it. And I remember her just looking at Paul and saying, all of them. She's charging all of them. There was no celebration. We did shake hands and there was kind of almost a relief. I don't know whether they'll thank me for telling you this or not, but Paul and Nicola felt that they simply wouldn't be able to give the team that news. I said that I thought I would be able to do it. I wasn't sure, if I'm honest, but I said I would be able to do it. And about 5 minutes later, we called the whole team into the office and we told them that we had the charging advice in, and I stood and I read out charges relating to the 17 cases individually. When you charge someone with a crime and you're going to go to court, you have evidence. So you have statements, you have exhibits, you have documents, you have officers' reports, and all of those are joined together to form your case. They are your evidence that you say proves that the person on trial is guilty of the offence. However, when you investigate any crime, whether it be a shoplifting or multiple murders as we have here, you also collect a lot of material that isn't evidence, but you still have that material. And disclosure is, in very simple terms, the process of how you deal with all the other material that isn't your evidence. In terms of unused material, which is all of that material that isn't evidence, we're currently standing at 16,571 items. But what has to be remembered, of course, is that some of those items themselves are thousands of pages long. Disclosure is absolutely vital to a fair trial, because when you hear of jobs being thrown out of court, the vast majority of those will be because of mistakes or failings in disclosure. Often not deliberate, but mistakes or failings in disclosure is what causes big investigations to fall down.